are planning to do IVF, then this is the most important video that I want you to watch. This is what I would tell you if you were like my best friend or like my sister and you're going to do IVF. Just for some context, I'm a fertility and IVF dietitian, and I have helped women get pregnant naturally even after they have failed IVF and we're planning to do it again. So they got pregnant naturally and were able to like cancel their IVF appointment. This is the most important thing I want you to know, is to not start IVF unless your body is prepared for it. Okay? What do I mean by this? So if you are missing certain nutrients in your body, if your body doesn't feel safe enough to conceive, then even if you do IVF, like unless you're doing it because you have got some sort of physical, like anatomical thing that's preventing you from getting pregnant, like physically, then it's not going to fix the underlying issue of like why you haven't been able to conceive naturally in the first place, right? If you're missing certain nutrients, if your stress is too high, if you're exposed to certain toxins in the products that you're using on a daily basis, you know, if you're not taking the right supplements, if your mindset or your faith or your nervous system is not aligned, then even if you do IVF, it's like you're just bypassing the step of like having an embryo, but then your body's still not gonna feel safe enough to carry that embryo to a full pregnancy. So if you're in a situation where you're thinking about doing IVF, here is what I would suggest looking into. Look into working with a registered dietitian or registered nutritionist who is specifically trained in fertility, because even if you have like a dietitian you can work with on insurance, but if they don't have the training in fertility, it's going to be very different, because actually eating for fertility and eating for general health is not the same thing. For example, if you have these fertility issues, is it your general practitioner, like your general doctor, who is trying to treat them for you, or do they refer you out to a specialist who has gotten additional training and additional experience in that area? They probably did refer you out, right? Whether that was to like an OBGYN, gynecologist, like fertility clinic, they're going to refer you out to somebody who has had that additional training. So it's the same thing when it comes to dietitians. We have additional training in different areas. Even if you're like doing gut health stuff or doing diabetes, like we need additional training to be able to specialize in those things to be able to help you in the best way possible. So work with someone who is actually trained in fertility. And honestly, I'm not just saying this because I'm a fertility dietitian myself, even though it may sound like that might be the case. Like, of course, I'm gonna be a little bit biased, I'll admit, but honestly, this is what I would tell you. Like literally, if you were my sister, okay, and you were going through infertility, because I know how much of a difference it can make. If you're thinking about doing IVF and you've been considering working with a fertility dietitian, but you're thinking to yourself like, oh, it's too expensive, I can't afford that, I'm already spending so much money on IVF, like can't really afford to invest in something like that, I want to offer you a different perspective here, because I think that the thing you can't afford really is to do IVF without first getting support for your health and your fertility. Like that is what you actually can't afford, because if you're dropping tens of thousands of dollars on IVF, like one cycle, if you look up like what the average live birth rates are, like what are the chances of you doing your first cycle of IVF and having a baby at the end of it? If you are 35 years old, your chances are like 40 to 50%. I mean, obviously this varies between different clinics, but like on average, that's what it is. That's worse than a coin flip. Like, are you really wanting to go into this just flipping a coin and wondering what it's gonna land on? Like, you're just relying on luck at that point, you know? And if it doesn't work, you're gonna have to spend another tens of thousands of dollars. Like, I know someone who has spent 7 years going through IVF and done IVF between 15 to 20 times. I'm not even kidding you. And by the end of it, they ended up having to try using a donor egg, and still even then were not able to get pregnant. and by the time they were already like in their late 40s and ended up like having to give up and was like never able to have their baby. So that is like so extremely heartbreaking, and I just wish more women knew, you know, what kind of support to get before going into IVF to make sure that you're giving yourself the best chances of conceiving. These are the stories that you're not going to be hearing about because it's too painful for people to talk about, like failing IVF 15 plus times and ended up not having your baby at the end of it. Like that is the biggest, I think that's like the worst nightmare for any woman, you know, like it's just like unfathomable to think about. So like, and then on top of that, spending like hundreds of thousands of dollars going through IVF and being left with the emotional trauma, the heartbreak. You know, it's not just the financial aspect of things. Like if you go through IVF and it doesn't work, it's like a part of you breaks, you know. It's like it leaves you with this like, it can leave you with a scar. So because when you put your like all your hope and your trust into something and it doesn't work, like yeah, it's just, obviously if you've gone through this you know how it feels. But that's why I really believe that before you go into IVF you should really invest in your health and in your fertility to really give your body the best chances of succeeding. Because just to give you an example, there was this study done on like omega-3 intake. So like they found that those who had enough omega-3s from their diet and supplements were 4 times more likely to conceive both naturally and with IVF. Like imagine that's just with one nutrient, right? Imagine if like you got support from someone to help you optimize every single nutrient in your body, like how much your chances of conceiving naturally would go up. And even if you don't get pregnant naturally, like your chances of success with IVF would go up, you know. Like another woman that I worked with, she ended up, after working with me, was able to get more than double the number of eggs retrieved compared to when she was younger, like a whole year younger, when she did her previous egg retrieval. Like after she worked with me, she got more than double, you know, even though she was older. Like it shows you like the power of what can happen when you actually give your body the right support. If you are someone who is trying to conceive and you are wanting to work with a dietitian, or you're thinking about doing it, then I do offer I am offering a free discovery call at the moment. So if you would like that, check out the link below. If not, then I'll see you in my next video.